This lesson previews an important concept on combining like terms. Please make sure that you are completing your homework in pencil as discussed in class. An expression contains numbers, variables, and at least one operation. So the following are all expressions, and something that's really important is that there is no equal sign in an expression. Before we can learn how to combine like terms, we have to figure out what like terms are in the first place. So like terms are terms that are in an expression that have the same variable raised to the same power. So again, they have to have the same variable and the same power. The coefficient in the front does not matter. So like terms are 6x and 2x. You're not looking at the coefficient 6 and 2, you're looking at the variable. And since they both have just an x, they're like terms. Second is 5y and 8y. Although the 5 and the 8 don't match, we're not looking at the coefficients, we're looking at the variable, which is y and only y. So these are like terms. Next one is 4x squared and 7x squared. The 4 and the 7 don't match, but we're not looking at coefficients, we're looking at variables and powers. They both have x's, and both of the x's are to the second power. So they are like terms. Unlike terms, 6x squared and 2x. Again, the coefficient in the front doesn't matter. And yes, they have the same variable x, but the x is not to the same power in both terms. Next one is 5x and 8y. The 5 and 8 don't match, which is okay, but the variables don't match either. There's an x and a y, so they're unlike terms. And lastly is a little more tricky, but 4x squared y and 7xy squared. The variables are x, y in both, and there's a second power in both, but they're not exactly the same. The squared is on the x in this first term, and the squared is on the y in the second term, so therefore they're unlike terms. Slide 16 asks to identify all the terms that are like 2x. 5x is like 2x because it has just an x. 3x squared is not like 2x because even though it has an x, there's a square on top of it. 5y is not like 2x because the variables don't match. 12y is not like 2x because the variables don't match. And 2 is not like 2x because we're not looking at the coefficient, we're looking at the variable, and 2 is missing a variable. So the only answer here for slide 16 is letter A. Please pause and complete slide 17 through 20 independently. And draw a square on slide 17. Now that we understand what like terms are, we're ready to combine like terms. So when you have two or more like terms in an expression or an equation, you can combine like terms by adding or subtracting the coefficient and leaving the variable alone. I call this method the box and cloud method. So I'm going to look at this first problem where I have 7x plus 8x equals 15x. So I take whatever has the same variable and I put it inside the same shape. This may seem silly right now, however, when you get longer expressions and equations with varied terms, boxing and cloud helps you identify the like terms easier. So 7x plus 8x, I keep the x alone and I just add the coefficient. 7 plus 8 is 15. And I add on the variable, so the answer is 15x when simplified. The next one is 9v minus 2v. So I'm going to put a shape. a cloud around anything that has a V on it. So 9V minus 2V. So I just subtract the coefficients. 9 minus 2 is 7, and I leave the variable there. So 9V minus 2V simplifies to 7V. This method is called the box and cloud method. So the box and cloud method is a little more clear on this slide. Sometimes there are constant terms that can be combined. So in this expression I have 9 plus 2f plus 6. So constants are actually matching here. The number 9 and the number 6 are like terms because they don't have any variables on top of them. And then 2f is different because it just has an F attached to it. So now I'm going to put the shapes together. I take the clouds, which are 9 and 6, and I add them to get 15. And I take the box, and I can't combine it with anything. So this expression simplifies to 2f plus 15. The next example shows that sometimes there are coefficients and constants that needs to be combined. So 3g plus 7 plus 8g minus 2. So I'm going to find two shapes and put the clouds around my constants, 7 and minus 2. And then I take my like terms with g, so 3g plus 8g. I want to make sure that the plus sign is in there so I know that I'm adding. And now I'm ready for my next step. I combine the squares, which have like terms of g. So 8 plus 3 is 11g. And then I combine the clouds, which has like terms of constants, and it's 7 minus 2, which is 5. So 11g plus 5 is the simplified answer of this expression. So next we're on slide 23. 23 is asking us to simplify 4 problems. So the first one is 2b plus 6g times 3 plus 4f plus 9f. Now before I can do any combining terms, first I need to make sure that I have my work in the problem simplified according to PEMDAS. So here's 2b, that stands alone, that's okay. But right here is a problem. It's 6g times 3. So when I have a variable that has two numbers next to it, I have 6 times g times 3. So what I want to do here is combine that 6 times 3, and I end up with 18g. So now I have 2b plus 18g plus 4f plus 9f. And this really isn't a great example to start with, but next step, I want to take all my like terms. So here I have a 2b, and then I have an 18g, so b and g are not similar terms, so I'm going to put a different shape around the 18g. And I have yet again another variable that's f, so that's not a like term. So I'm going to take my 4f, and remember I want to hold the plus sign with it. And next I have 9f again in my triangle. So I want to take all of my shapes and simplify. So this is 2b plus clouds. There's no clouds to combine, so 18g. But now I have to combine my triangles, and 4f plus 9f is 13f. So the simplified answer to problem number 1 is 2b plus 18g plus 13f. Number 2, 9j plus 3 plus 24h plus 6 plus 7h plus 3. So I have a j, I have a constant, and I have an h, which means I need 3 different shapes. So first I'm going to look at all of the j's, and there's only one, so I just need one shape for that. Next I'm going to look at my constants, and so I have a plus 3, I have a plus 6, and I have another plus 3. What's left are my h's, and I have a plus 24h. And remember, you want to get the sign in there. And I have a plus 7h. So the next step now is to combine all of my shapes. I only have one square here, so 9j stays as it is. Then I combine my triangles. I have 3 plus 6 plus 3. So I have 12 as my constant, plus 12. And then I have 24h plus 7h. So I combine my two h terms and I get 31h. So when I simplify 9j plus 3 plus 24h plus 6 plus 7h plus 3 using the box and clouds, I get 9j plus 12 plus 31h. We are going to actually leave 3 and 4 as a review practice tomorrow in class. Please pause and complete slides 24 through 36. I'd like to ask that you put a star on every one of the following slides that you're certain the answer is correct. If you're confused about a problem, do not put a star on that slide, and we will discuss it in class tomorrow.